What did Big Bang mean to you as a teenager when you were growing up?
I feel like every time we've talked about Big Bang, I would just say, they got me into K-pop, and that's pretty much it. But I think it's safe to say that they really changed my life. You asked me as a teenager, right? Growing up in America, I didn't really have many Asians to look up to, outside of my parents and things like that. But when I discovered Big Bang, that's when I feel like the rest of the world kind of opened up to me. And now I see these guys are Asian. They carry themselves with a certain swag, with a certain confidence that I haven't seen before from, however Asians are portrayed in the media that I've been exposed to. And they dress cool, but they're also at the same time, they weren't afraid to be silly. Because, when we were growing up with the celebrities that we saw, if you had a certain image or whatever, you kind of try to carry yourself that way the whole time. But I feel like Big Bang, they were these icons on stage, and then you would see them on a variety show and they're just doing silly things and they're making jokes and they're making fun of each other. They're wearing silly things and they weren't afraid to do that. So they're also the reason I probably pursued a career in something more creative than I probably would have. And them introducing me to the world of K-pop literally changed the trajectory of my life, the career I would get into. And I am in Korea right now because of that, because of seeing Big Bang, because of discovering K-pop. And that's all how it started.
So you're saying that Big Bang is a little something of an inspiration for you?
Yes. So the word idol is thrown around a lot these days, kind of interchangeable with just a K-pop performer, a K-pop artist, whatever, right? But to me, they were my idols. I looked up to them. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to, I wanted to dress like them. So yes, they were my idols.
I'm going to guess that there's not a ton of Asian representation where you grew up in Oklahoma?
In Oklahoma, no. Maybe a little bit more in the media, but not much at all.
Yeah, so K-pop must have been pretty huge for you as somebody growing up in the middle of the country.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like discovering Big Bang, discovering K-pop, discovering, okay, Asians are cool. I've been enlightened, right? It opened the world to me. It opened the rest of the world to me, really.
Which of the members was your favorite, your bias, so to say?
Oh, come on. I don't like to answer these questions.
Who would you say was the most inspirational?
I would say I feel like I'm more similar and I relate more to Taeyang. But career-wise, as an idol, as a creative, someone I aspire to be, it would probably be GDragon.
Well, as you know, GDragon just made a big release recently. And coming up on today's episode, we review the release of GDragon's brand new album, Übermensch. Welcome to Diaries of an MZ Generation, where we discuss Korean culture, music, and entertainment. This is episode 9. I'm Ellis Tan, and today is Friday, March 7th, 2025. Joining me as always is my friend and co-host, Justin Lee. Hey Justin, how's it going?
It's going great. It's week 3 of Korea, and I am getting less and less sleep as we go.
I can't believe it's week 3. I've actually never stayed in Korea longer than 2 weeks.
Oh, really? I don't remember what life was like before this. I just feel like this has been life for so long now.
I can't even imagine what it's like to experience Korea the way you're experiencing it for the first time. And you have a full month to enjoy everything that at least Seoul has to offer. Like I said, this is my first time staying longer than 2 weeks. Week 3. I'm actually running out of things to do, it feels like. I feel like every time I come here, it's either 2 weeks or less. So I try to get everything done within those 2 weeks. And now it's been 2 weeks, I've kind of done everything. I feel like I'm just walking around aimlessly, trying to find something to do.
Nah, man, I feel like we still have so much to do. I feel like yesterday we got to experience a birthday cafe, like an idol's birthday cafe. And I remember you turning to me and you said, man, you're experiencing a lot. It's just your first time in Korea already. And to me, it's even the little things that I'm trying to take in. Yesterday was raining and we were walking the streets and fighting for our lives. But to me, I was like, oh man, rain in Korea. This is great. I'm still trying to take in the little things along with all the big, insane things we're experiencing as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably going to have an episode, maybe like the final week that we're here talking about our entire trip.
Yeah.
and how it's been for you as a first timer in Korea.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. I have a lot of questions as well.
Yeah, so a little teaser for that. But let's get into the episode. And before we dive into the album discussion, I do want to lay down some groundwork about the man who would become a legend, GDragon. GDragon debuted in the group Big Bang in 2006 as the leader, rapper, and one of the producers of the group. GDragon's real name is Kwon Ji-young, and his name literally means, well, Young in Korean literally means dragon. So his stage name became the first syllable of his first name, which was G, and the translation, the English translation of the second syllable of his name, dragon. So simply GDragon. He was born in 1988, Year of the Dragon, so that's why he was named such, I guess, by his parents. What did you think of GD when you first got into Big Bang?
I was just in awe of him. Seeing these videos of him as a child, already in front of the cameras, performing, doing all these things that he would still be doing to this day, right? I remember watching him train at YG. I remember the producers at the time talking about the talents that he already had and what they were trying to bring out of him. So they knew he had the musical talent in him, but they wanted to train his vocals because they knew, I literally remember they were talking about him being the one to usher in this new sound that they were wanting. It wasn't rapping and it wasn't singing. It was something in between. And they knew that he was going to be someone that could do that, right? So I thought it was incredible that YG Entertainment, this big label, were putting so much emphasis and focus and building a group around him. And I also thought it was really interesting that within Big Bang, he's not the oldest. He's not even the second oldest, right? He's directly in the middle, yet the older ones have so much respect for him that they will listen to whatever he says. They will trust whatever he says. What did you think about him?
Well, he's essentially a prodigy in the K-pop scene.
Yes.
But personally for me, I was never actually a huge Big Bang fan.
Okay.
Obviously, I really loved their music, but I didn't have a strong affinity for the members.
Yeah.
I would say I actually didn't like GDragon that much when they first debuted. It wasn't until I really realized kind of his genius that I really started to appreciate him for who he is. Because when they first debuted, his style wasn't my style.
Okay.
I wasn't really into that.
Okay.
I wasn't really into how he rapped or how he sang, how he dressed.
Yeah.
That wasn't really me.
Everything that drew me to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit opposite there.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what it was that got me.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know a song called F It?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just sang it last night.
Of course.
Yeah, we went to Norebang and sang it last night. So this song called F It.
We sang it very loosely.
We sang it.
We sang it.
So this song, I think it's literally spelled FXXKIT.
Yeah.
In English. But in Korean, do you know what the name of it in Korean is?
I'm going to say no. What is it?
In Korean, the title of the song is ere 모르겠다. And that essentially means that word F it.
Yeah.
It's like a slang term.
Right.
It's like, what about it? But yeah, in that kind of swearing way or swearing manner. And when he wrote ere 모르겠다 for the chorus, and it led into and I want to get down, that kind of wordplay was just like a masterful stroke for me. I realized then, because again, I didn't really learn Korean until maybe like 2015, which is kind of around the time when that song came out.
Right.
And as I started learning, started looking into lyrics more, I started to really appreciate the songwriting. And obviously, the production was always good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's always been known as the prodigy. So, yeah, like completely changed my perception of him. And now, yeah, I love GD. I mean, I've always loved his music, but yeah, now I have an appreciation for the man himself as well. So that's GD, the person. But what do you think he meant to Big Bang, the group?
I don't think there would be a Big Bang without GDragon. He's kind of the creative force behind Big Bang. He's the glue that holds them together. You know, right now, Top is technically not in the group. But if there's one person that's going to bring him back in, pull him back in, I think it's going to be GDragon. When I think of all the things that I like about Big Bang, the fashion, the music, just the aura that they exude. GDragon possesses all of that. I feel like it starts with him and pushes outward toward all the other members. You know what I'm saying?
I do. But are you saying that if Teddy was the main producer and GDragon wasn't part of the group, you think that they wouldn't have even had remotely the same amount of success?
Personally, I love Teddy. I love the music he produces. It's just kind of my style. I don't know if it's because it's pretty much the first kind of K-pop I listen to. So I'm very biased towards music that Teddy produces. But even then, I would say without GDragon, I don't think Big Bang are what they are today. I don't think they'd be who they are today. I don't think they would be the legends that they are seen as today without GDragon.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's like you said earlier, it's the person that he is, right? He's such a gifted talent, not just in production and in music, but also as a leader. I think Big Bang would have had a lot more issues if it wasn't for him. Like you said, maybe they wouldn't even be together. They wouldn't even be making music together now. And who knows where the other members would be without him.
Yeah.
But the success of Big Bang is intertwined into really the success of YG Entertainment. YG Entertainment is essentially where they are now because of Big Bang and because of GDragon. What do you think he meant to YG Entertainment?
I think we could copy and paste a lot of the answers I just said for Big Bang to YG Entertainment. I feel like when they were creating 21, what I remember seeing 21, film their debut music video and GDragon was there. The Big Bang were filming their Japanese release or whatever, but they still had GD come in and kind of help the girls out, kind of usher them in with all the experience that he's already had. Same thing with Blackpink, right? Blackpink, he's the one that had Jennie help perform on his song Black. He kind of introduced Rosé's voice in Without You. So he knew he could be a vehicle that would push the company forward, whether it was 21, whether it was Blackpink, whether it's him recording the demo for Baby Monster's Drip, whether it's him judging who is next and bringing an icon and winner. He was always there when it came to the future of YG. Not just the impact he had with Big Bang, but he was also there for all their future projects as well.
You say he's a vehicle. I think he's more of like a tow truck.
Yeah.
I think without GD, I think YG would have failed years ago already.
100%. Big Bang would not be where they are. YG Entertainment would definitely not be where they are. I think a lot of the creative direction was either came from him or he was consulting. I feel like he was always involved in some way.
Yeah, I agree. I think personally for me, whatever GDragon touched turned to gold. It wasn't just the creative direction that GD brought to YG Entertainment, to Big Bang. He was also well known as a fashion trendsetter. What do you think he meant to the fashion world?
It always just seemed that he was always either ahead of the curve or he was the one creating the curve. You know what I mean? If he wore it, it would either instantly become a trend or it was going to be a trend, whether people understood it at the time or not. I think we see that right now with something as simple as a headscarf. I don't know if I've ever seen as many people just put on a headscarf and a hat until GD did it after the release of Power. It even makes me start considering, I think I want to try wearing a headscarf and a hat, either on top of it, under it. Why have I never thought of a headscarf? It's so cool now. What did you think? Did GD ever influence your fashion one way or the other?
Definitely not, because that's not really my style. But I do acknowledge that, yeah, a lot of the things that he's come up with, he's collaborated with large brands, Adidas, Nike.
Yeah.
I think if he put his mind to it, if he wasn't so focused on music, I think he could be creative director for any of the luxury brands.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, to me, if something I think is, man, I would never do that, or it's, that's just weird. But then I see GDragon do it. I don't know. I'll give an example. Maybe like painting your fingernails, right? I never would have thought I'm going to paint my fingernails. To me, I feel like us in the age that we grew up in, painting our fingernails, we would just kind of get ridiculed. But now I see GD do it, like, oh man, maybe I should try it.
So then, what are your favorite GDragon songs?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask this.
Give me 3.
3, okay.
It doesn't have to be favorite songs. It could be just songs that you would recommend to somebody trying to get into GDragon.
Okay. So I feel like the first song I have to say is Heartbreaker.
The debut.
Yeah, that was his first solo debut. It's one of the first K-pop songs I remember hearing.
Do you remember the remix with Flowrida?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it all came from a misunderstanding, right? And that's another thing, right? Who else but GD can turn a legal misunderstanding into a collaboration? The next song I'll recommend is One of a Kind. To me, that's one of my favorite GDragon songs. It's not a song I would have thought if you just gave me that song or showed me that sound. I don't think I would have gravitated toward much, but man, when it released and the music video and the styling in there and the craziness of that song, something about it, I love it. I love it so much. I love the message in it. The third song I'm going to pick just because I think it's something not a lot of people think about when they think GDragon songs. It's not a title track. It doesn't have a music video, but it's Missing You featuring Kim Yuna. There's just something about that song. It's got this very nostalgic Korean sound to it. I can't really put my finger on it, but if you listen to it, I feel like it really captures a different style than you think when you think of GD. Honestly, though, part of your question was, what would I recommend to people who, maybe don't listen to that much GDragon music or Big Bang music? Honestly, now I would just tell them listen to Power and listen to Home Sweet Home. I feel like that captures the upbeat and eclectic sound that GDragon can produce. And on the other side, it captures that very nostalgic, very second gen Big Bang sound as well. So you got two sides kind of the GD coin with just those two songs. And then just two more, okay? These, I just think if they haven't listened, but they're more familiar with American music, This Love, his remix on Maroon 5 song, right? And Can't Help Falling in Love, which is a song he did for the Elvis movie, right? So you can also see what his twist on Western classics would be. Yeah? Okay, so those songs are my three. Do you have any songs, any GDragon songs that you would recommend?
I gotta tell you, I was really scared you're gonna say one of mine.
Oh god.
Because you were just listing off song after song.
I know.
But surprisingly, you did not list the ones I'm about to say. The first one I want to recommend is a song when his first album dropped. I had this song on repeat.
Okay.
Repeat. Even more than Heartbreaker.
Okay.
It's a song called The Leaders featuring Teddy and CL.
Yeah.
Do you remember that song?
Of course.
This was the all-star track for me because not only did it have GD, it had CL, the leader of 21.
Yes.
And it had Teddy, one of the main producers of YG Entertainment.
And I believe the leader of One Time.
Right, exactly. And the lyrics for the song are so good. 100% gotta recommend The Leaders.
So good.
But I'm surprised you didn't recommend the other two tracks I'm about to talk about. But I guess I'm not too surprised. The second one I'm going to recommend is Untitled.
Yes.
And that was off of his previous album before this newest one, Kwon Ji-young. And I think officially it's called like Untitled 2014.
Right.
Or Muje in Korean. And the third song I'm going to recommend is Crooked.
Of course.
Off of Coup d'etat.
Amazing.
We sang that one last night as well.
Amazing.
That one's such a fun song to sing. Those are my three songs. I'm going to stick it to 3 songs. Honestly, like Justin already gave like 6 songs, 7, 8 songs. So we've recommended a full album for you.
Technically 3 songs with some honorable mention.
Right. Well, in 2023, 2 years ago, GD would officially leave YG Entertainment. Personally, for me, I thought this was a huge blow for YG. I thought GD would be 100% fine. I thought he is pretty much the creative mastermind and he could do whatever he wants, wherever he wants. What were your thoughts when he left?
Like you said, GDragon would be fine. And man, whoever gets him next, first of all, super lucky and probably threw so much money, so much creative freedom at him, but they'll be thriving anyways, right? But part of me was also kind of sad. As a second gen K-pop fan, I feel like I always kind of romanticized the idea of, one day he probably would take over YG.
He still can.
Yeah, I guess he still could. But to me, another part of that romantic idea is that the loyalty. Not that he's not loyal to YG. Obviously, a lot of circumstances have changes and things just aren't the same. But I don't like it when Dwayne Wade leaves Miami and comes back. It's just but things happen. That's life, right? So I was a tiny bit sad because of that, but I wasn't really too worried. The only thing I was worried is what does this mean for Big Bang as a whole? But I think at this point, I'm not that worried anymore.
Yeah, I'm not worried, but it's kind of an end of an era for the golden age of YG Entertainment, at least for me personally.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like all those pieces that, the 21s, the Big Bang. Last week we talked that Seven was gone. Him leaving is probably that biggest piece of that puzzle finally out.
That nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
At least for me. Who knows what can happen with YG Entertainment? Do you think there's somebody that'll be able to step up?
I think there were a couple. I think BI was one of them. And then I think Bang Yeram was one of them. Unfortunately, they've also left. Well, maybe fortunately for them. But unfortunately for YG, they also left. So right now, I don't know. I know, I think Asahi from Treasure produces a lot. Yeah, a couple of Treasure members produce a lot. I don't know how involved Baby Monster are in their own music or allowed to be in their music at this point in their careers. So I don't know if that person has emerged yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, YG Entertainment has lost a lot of talent over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And personally for me, I think without GD, I think YG Entertainment can't even classify as part of the Big Four anymore.
Wow, that's huge. That's a huge statement.
I think they really haven't been part of the Big Four for years. And now with GD officially leaving, I really think they don't have anyone to be able to pick up the reins. It's definitely not Yang Hyun-suk.
No, I don't think it's that. But I'm open-minded. I'll see. It could be just like the old stubborn part of me was like, nah, Pluto's still a planet, or you know what I mean? Like YG's still in the big, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they have a incredible trainee, a new prodigy that we don't know about. Or maybe some people know about, I just don't know about him. Or maybe Baby Monster will just rise to the occasion.
Personally, I'm a fan of Baby Monster, and
they still have Winner.
Technically, they still have Blackpink, as a group.
Yeah, they'll be making money.
Yeah. That Big Four comment, though. We'll see. Let's check back on that, actually. That's an interesting take.
Well, finally, after almost 8 long years since his last solo release, Kwon Ji-young, GDragon has released his latest album, Übermensch, last week on February 25th, 2025. GDragon's newest album consists of 8 tracks. Before the release of the album, though, GD released his first single, Power, in November late last year. It was his first release since leaving YG Entertainment, and it would go on to become an instant hit. We've been hearing it everywhere on the streets of Korea. We even sang it at the Noraebang last night. You're a huge Big Bang fan. What was your initial reaction to GD finally returning to the stage?
Honestly, my first thought was just a wave of relief, because in 2024, GD was put into a lot of bad situations that he kind of had to fight out of. And he just came, back from the military, all these things. So at that point, I didn't even know if he would come back to music, let alone being on stage in front of people. So when he did come back with Power, he come back on stage with it, my first thoughts were just relief. My second thoughts were, how is this song so good? How long has he been working on this song? Is this something he's only started working on after the military? Is this something that he had, demos of way back when? Not only was I relieved to see GDragon on stage again, I was relieved to see GDragon coming back with such a good song back into form, like he hasn't missed a day. What were your feelings when you first saw him on stage again?
It's hard to really explain into words the feeling of GD coming back. Again, it's been, at the time, it was like 7 years, right?
Yeah.
That's almost an eternity in the world of K-pop. But it was, it's GD, so it's a huge event. And being able to see him on stage again was just incredible. It's like legends never die, really.
Yeah.
That type of feeling. And of course, it helped that the song is just so good.
It's just so good.
And regardless of like where we are walking around, whatever day it is, we're going to hear it. We're going to hear it while we're in Korea.
Yeah.
We're hearing
We've heard it many, many times.
We always joke because we're saying, oh, like they're playing it for Justin, they're playing it for Justin. But no, it's just It's just a really
They're just playing it.
yeah, they're just playing it.
just playing it.
It's just a really good song. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of an event. It's kind of just a historical milestone almost in the world of K-pop. The fact that he came back with this song and it showed that, yeah, he still got it.
I'm glad you brought up that it was an event because to tie both of our points together, after all the things that he went through in 2024, fighting out of that, coming out on the positive end of it, it was so good to see that him coming back to the industry, putting out new music was an event, that people were anticipating it, that people still had the respect and the love and just excited to see what he's going to put out.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. But I wonder how it feels for somebody who got into K-pop in like the 4th gen or the 5th gen even, or like children.
Yeah. Who's this unk?
Exactly, this Ajushi, right?
But for real though, it's an interesting point, right? If you got into K-pop in the 4th gen, you know, New Jeans is huge. You know, BTS is huge. You know, Blackpink, IVE, whatever. And then you have this one artist who you have not seen. We have not seen, like you said, 7 years, whatever. And he's taking over. He's basically, his one song is taking over the industry. Just the fashion that he has in the music video, all of that. He's becoming a trend on TikTok. Who is this guy, right? Who is this guy and why does he have such this big impact seemingly out of nowhere?
It reminds me a little bit of when Im Young-un,
Yes.
the trot singer, was sweeping awards and winning number ones and perfect all kills. And BTS fans are just like, who is this guy that's beating our boys?
What fan base could be bigger than ours?
Exactly.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, so after the release of Power, GD would go on to follow up with another song on November 22nd, 2024. He would release the second single from the album called Home Sweet Home. And this song featured Taeyang and Daesung of Big Bang. What does this song mean to you as a Big Bang fan?
So I said Power and him coming back on stage with that gave me a huge sense of relief because I didn't know if he would ever be comfortable on stage again. Home Sweet Home gave me a sense of hope because I definitely did not know, especially after the release of Still Life, which could definitely be seen as a kind of a closure song for the group, right? With Top saying he's not part of the group anymore. Home Sweet Home is what gave me the sense of hope. And it's probably on purpose. The song feels very Big Bang. It feels like an old Big Bang song. And it's cool to see that when they talked about making the song, it was a Big Bang song. But because they wanted to kind of surprise the fans with something at Mama, they turned it into a GD song featuring Taeyang and Daesung so that they can have that moment together. And I am maybe ignorantly a subscriber to the theory that the bridge is referencing Top, where the lyrics say, "It's so nice, missed you a lot. You're welcome back home wherever you are." And then the next part of the bridge where they saying, "Your life is still with me, living good life." So I'm a subscriber of that is a message to Top that he will be there. He will be back. But man, just listening to that song, I love the two together. I say this, I got chill. This is not an exaggeration. I got chills watching that performance. All three of them on stage. Taeyang pops up on stage. Daesung pops up on stage. At the end, they're all walking together. GD kind of embraces Taeyang, embraces Daesung. The stage rises up. I can watch it over and over and over and over again. Did you feel any way about the song when it came out?
So when Power came out, I was just excited. I was happy that GD was back.
Yeah.
But he followed it up almost immediately, like literally within just a week or two.
Yeah.
With another incredible track. And yeah, like you said, it gives hope as a Big Bang fan that we'll be able to see Big Bang as a group of four in the future, putting out new music, maybe doing a tour. And yeah, it's just the hope. There's so much hope now.
Yeah, I was actually talking to one of our friends, Nathan, aka Internet's Nathan, aka Nasan, a fellow creator. And we were talking about GD's new album and the songs that were on it. And he made a great point that GD has this ability to somehow make something very unique, which is what kind of propelled Big Bang and his own music to where it got to. He has this ability to make something so unique but very trendy for its time. So you listen to Big Bang songs back then, it sounds like a second gen song, right? You listen to his solo albums throughout the years, they do follow the trendy sounds at the time, but they sound very GD, very unique. You can't really put your finger on it exactly. And it's still the same now. Like I said, Home Sweet Home sounds very much like a Big Bang song when we listen to it, but somehow it's still a song that makes sense in 2024, that can be popular in 2024. Same thing with Power, right? Very unique, very trendy for right now. And I love what Nathan said. GDragon's ability to somehow stay trendy at the times while still being him makes him timeless.
Yeah, timeless is a great word and a major factor for his legacy and part of the reason that he's a legend in the K-pop industry. And I'm sure he has a lot more coming in store for us as well.
That's the scary thing, right? He's already considered a legend, but he has so much more to go.
So now it leads us to this, the release of his album, Übermensch. We watched the latest music video together, GD's third single off of this album, Too Bad, featuring Anderson .Paak. What are your initial thoughts on the song and the music video?
Going into it, I was a little worried because I knew there's no way this is going to live up to Power. It's not going to live up to Home Sweet Home. I don't expect it to. I don't really need it to. And when we first watched it, I just thought, yeah, it's okay. The song never really took it to the next level at any point to me. The video was cool. I love that Karina's in it. Anderson .Paak was in it. I think that's a great collaboration. But I thought, man, it's just okay. It's just okay. But I don't know if I'm just that biased, if I'm just that big of a fan of GD that my mind is playing tricks on me. But as we were walking the streets of Korea the next day, going around town, just doing things, I couldn't help but sing the song in my head. Something about it just stuck there. We came home, we put the video on again. I was like, oh man, I really like this. I don't like it as much as Power. I don't like it as much as Home Sweet Home. But again, I don't need to. My perception of this song now is a lot different from when I first heard it. I can't get enough of it now. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, first of all, it features Anderson .Paak. I'm a big fan of his productions.
Yeah.
And listening to the song, yeah, it's pretty much what I expected.
Yeah.
I will say that I pretty much agree with you in the sense that I prefer Power and Home Sweet Home. Like those songs, when I first heard them, it was like instantly I was hooked.
Yeah.
For this song, it's still growing on me. I've been listening to the album a lot, pretty much on repeat the last couple days. Yeah, and I just have to agree with pretty much everything that you said.
Yeah, that's why, man, it was a little nerve-wracking. You know I'm a Big Bang fan. Our friends around here, us know I'm a Big Bang fan. So it's kind of like right after we watched it, whether it was like that or not, I just feel the eyes on me. And I could never be a reactor on YouTube or anything because I was like, okay, you know what I mean? But man, it was the effect of it after watching it that somehow, whatever he sprinkled in that song, it got me.
I do love the video, but I do wish there was a little bit more Karina in it.
Absolutely. I do. I wish it as well. If not more, at least let's not cut away from her so many times. give me a good string of her scenes together at least.
I feel like you were able to get her off of her busy schedule.
Yeah.
Try to think of something a little bit more creative to put her somehow into the entire video. She doesn't have to be in every cut, but to just show up for like 20 seconds and then just like split seconds of her.
Yeah. I'm hoping they probably have the footage, but I'm hoping we get some kind of performance video where she's in it a little more uncut as well. So
it was just a little lazy. I think she just danced and that was it.
Yeah.
She was just there for a visual.
Yeah. Maybe she should have been in the other song's music video on the album.
You remember that Dalmatian video that we talked about that Hara was in?
Yes. Oh, that would have been amazing.
It would have, if they did something like that.
That would have been amazing.
I agree. I think GD could have done it, but maybe Karina was just too busy.
There could be those factors that we're not considering, and we're just like, we want more Karina.
Yeah, exactly. But how about the rest of the album? What did you think of it? Were there any other songs that stood out to you in particular? There was 8 tracks. 3 of them are singles, so that means there's 5 B-sides. Was there a song that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I'll mention two, and so that I give you a chance to mention some of yours, if so, as well. So
I feel like we're gonna overlap.
really, to me, I think he picked a good one to film another music video for, which was Drama. I feel it's very different. It's kind of like the Power Home Sweet Home dynamic, right? You got the Too Bad, and then you got the very slow and emotional Drama. That song never really even, a lot of times, even in ballads, you know, the beginning of it, the instrumental is very simplistic and it kind of builds up at the end. This one, I feel like it didn't even do that. If it kind of stayed very neutral, it stayed the same tone and intensity the entire time. And if you gave those two songs to me, initially I would say I would go with Drama over Too Bad like 9 times out of 10. But somehow the Too Bad it stuck with me. But at the same time, I do like that song Drama. The other song
I'm gonna squeeze in here because the track that stood out to me the most is Drama.
Okay, cool.
And honestly, for me, I like it more than Too Bad.
Okay. Why?
The lyrics.
Okay. The lyrics guy. You're a lyrics guy.
I'm the lyrics guy. As somebody who has basic knowledge of all the languages he uses in the song,
Yes.
I just loved how he weaved in the Chinese, the Mandarin, the Japanese. We got the Korean, we got the English.
Right.
I don't know. I just really related to that song. Really loved the song. And I like it more than Too Bad. What was the other song for you?
The other song is different from Too Bad and Drama, and it's I Belong to You. I really like that song. I feel like that song, besides the 4 that we've kind of focused on with music videos and stuff, that song just has its own unique tone and rhythm to it that so far with my limited listening to this album has stuck out to me the most. What are some of the other songs that stuck out to you?
I like that song too, but I picked 2 that I wanted to talk about for the episode, and the first one was Drama, which you brought up.
Okay.
The second one I liked was Take Me.
Ooh, yes.
Also because of the lyrics.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a great song to listen to.
Yeah. No, Take Me is really good.
I really like it. I would say my least favorite track is probably Bonamanna, but Gyro Drop is also really good.
You know, the funny thing about Bonamana is when I listened to it, probably the same as you, I thought, man, I don't think this is a song I would listen to all the time. It's not that kind of song. But when I do listen to it, I always think about it in a context of, I would use this in a movie somewhere as a soundtrack. It's not a song I would listen to, but when I do listen to it, I'm imagining putting it in a scene of a movie. So that's how I see that song.
All right. Next time I listen to it, I'm going to imagine it in a movie.
Please.
All right. How do you feel about the overall theme of the album?
I'll preface this with saying the album just came out, so I've had limited opportunities to listen to it all the way through that many times. But I think it's super interesting that the name of the album is Übermensch. And if you don't know what that means, it's kind of like, the definition is basically someone that's beyond human, almost superhuman, right? If you look at the word Übermensch, it basically means the Superman. So the character of Superman kind of originates from this word, which it's the only reason I know what Übermensch meant before GDragon, right? So the album is called Übermensch. The first song he introduced from the album is called Power. But the rest of these songs, underneath the Übermensch, underneath the Power, it's Too Bad, right? You're talking about someone who's at an arm's reach, who's too good for him, right? You have a song called I Belong to You. So it's kind of a very, I don't know if submissive is the right word, but he's longing for, he wants that person, right? I belong to you rather than I want you or whatever. And then you have a song called Take Me. Again, he's giving himself to someone else. He's giving his power, right, to someone else. And it's so, in Drama, it's so interesting that underneath this bravado, underneath the Übermensch, the power, the rest of it is very vulnerable, very emotional. And I think that is, in my theory that I would have, is that's kind of the message that he's trying to put out. Like, he is seen as this icon. We keep talking about him as a prodigy, a legend, things like that. But I feel that he also sees himself underneath, not that at all. Maybe he's trying to portray some of his insecurities, that he's human too, that he's going to make mistakes. And I love that you get that even just from looking on the surface level of just looking at the album, the title, the song titles. Even if you don't dive into the lyrics, you kind of already get that sense.
Were you worried at all about how the sound would be since it had been so long since his last release?
In this case, no. I was not worried at all. I wasn't worried that he was going to change his sound. I wasn't worried that he would, maybe his sound would sound outdated. I wasn't worried about any of that. I was just excited to hear what he was going to put out. That's all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like Nathan said, timeless.
Very timeless.
So let's go on and make some predictions. Justin, it's time for Prospect Patch. Our premier fortune-telling news agency, co-editor-in-chief, what is our future GDragon or Big Bang related headline that you're going to write tomorrow?
You know, a lot of times with these, I like to go with the very out there headlines. But this time, I alluded to it earlier. Your life is still with me, living good life. You're welcome back home wherever you are. I think 2026, for the 20th anniversary of Big Bang's debut, the 4 members will reunite together for a concert, for an album, for a song, for something. That's my prediction.
This is going to be the shortest Prospect Patch we're ever going to have. That's the exact same headline that I was going to say. How likely do you think that's going to be?
Kind of like I allude to when we talk about just my experience in Korea. I just romanticize everything. So for me, it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I have faith in Top. I think if anyone's going to get him to come back, it's going to be the man that we've been talking about. It's GDragon. So to me, I have very little doubt. I won't say I have no doubt, but I have very little doubt that it won't happen.
21 came back this year.
Exactly, right?
That's why I think it's really not outlandish at all.
To me, I think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen.
It has to happen.
Wow. I guess that's it.
That the shortest this segment will ever be, probably.
All right, so let's go straight into 10 years ago today then. "10 years ago today, on March 3rd of 2015, the boy group UKISS had their first win since their debut with the song called Playground. Now, UKISS debuted in 2008. They had some member changes, but this was essentially 7 years after their debut to finally have their first win. It's also one of their last singles. Do you know UKISS?
Of course I know UKISS. And when I saw this, I could not believe it, really. Last week, we talked about FX. That was one of the groups we kind of discussed. And we kind of talked about how, maybe to me, as someone who was getting into K-pop during the second generation, to me, FX were like, oh, they're FX, right? But maybe industry-wide, they weren't looked at like that. To me, UKISS is maybe that situation. UKISS was just one of these staple groups of the second gen. To me, there are songs that I remember from them, like classic songs I remember from them. I remember seeing all the members and variety shows and dramas and things like that. So, but then to look now in 2025, to hear that in 2015, 7 years later is when they got their first win, that makes no sense to me in my head canon. Do you have any thoughts on seeing this headline 10 years later?
I wasn't really a big UKISS listener. I knew some of their songs. I knew a bunch of the members because, like you said, they were on variety shows.
Yeah.
I especially know Kevin Wu.
Yeah, of course.
Because see him all the time at KCON.
We did get to see him at KCON.
Yeah, got pictures with him. He was also in the musical KPop that was showing in New York a couple of years ago.
Of course.
So very familiar with him. And yeah, I also couldn't believe when I saw this headline. I had to do a double take.
Yeah.
UKISS first win? And I was thinking like, wait a second, 2015, first win. I looked it up. Like, they debuted in 2008. I couldn't believe it.
I also had to look it up. I was like, no, that means they debuted probably 2 years before. But then that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So, yeah, that was kind of crazy to me. But I think it's super cool that the fans were able to give them a win 7 years after their debut.
Yeah.
So 10 years ago today, UKISS had their first win since debut with the song called Playground. 10 years ago today, on March 4th of 2015, a girl group called Fiestar returned with their single called You're Pitiful. So normally I wouldn't put just regular comeback songs into this segment, personally for me, unless you wanted to talk about something specific.
Tiny G. I'm just kidding.
But this song is actually special, in my opinion, because they would actually go on to re-release this song with a 2024 version and come out with a music video for it, a brand new music video for it in 2024. What do you know about Fiestar, and do you know the song?
Definitely no Fiestar. I feel like when this song came out, I didn't have that much appreciation for it at the time. But like you said, when they re-released it, basically self-funded, I had much more appreciation for it. I loved watching kind of the comparison videos of people putting it side by side of what it looked like back then, what it looks like now. That was kind of cool. So do you have any special connection or memories about Fiestar?
I was actually a relatively big Fiestar fan.
Oh, really?
Maybe big might be an overstatement. I was a fan.
Yeah, okay.
One of the members, Jay, was like best friends with my ultimate bias at the time from Stellar
Right.
Mini. So a lot of knowledge about the group.
Yeah.
I really loved their songs, actually. They debuted in the same company as IU.
Yes.
So when they debuted, I think IU actually featured on their song. But I didn't actually really start enjoying their music until maybe the song called One More.
Mm-hmm.
But everything after that, I actually really enjoyed a lot. And my favorite song from Fiestar is actually this song, You're Pitiful.
Okay.
So it made some news a few years ago that Chaolu was buying copyrights for the Fiestar songs. And when I had heard that she was re-releasing this track, reuniting the members for their 12th anniversary, I was like pretty excited. Because I wasn't a huge fan, but I thought this was super cool that one of the members would put in her own money to make this happen.
Yeah. No, just like you said, not a huge fan, but I think it's an incredible story.
And it shows what's possible
Exactly.
in K-pop.
Exactly.
So again, this is probably my favorite Fiestar song.
Mhm.
I do recommend checking it out if you haven't heard it. So yeah, 10 years ago today, Fiestar returned with their comeback single called You're Pitiful on March 4th, 2015. Finally, the last topic I want to get to 10 years ago today is on March 6th of 2015, Shannon Williams, who would go by the stage name Shannon, would release her first mini album. Do you know Shannon Williams?
I feel like I have an interesting connection to Shannon, and it has nothing to do with her solo career. My connection with her is from her very short-lived career as a member of Five Dolls. For those who don't know, Five Dolls was a spin-off group of the bigger group Co-ed School. Co-ed School was obviously a co-ed group, right? Before Card. It was made up of guys and girls. The big group would split off into the boy-only group and then the girl-only group. The boy-only was called Speed, I believe, and the girl group would be called Five Dolls. This would take on a few different iterations, some member changes. Shannon was one of those member changes. I was actually quite a fan of Co-ed School as a group together. Five Dolls was really cool in the beginning. But yeah, that's technically my strongest connection to Shannon. I don't really remember being too invested or anything like that to her solo career afterward. So do you have any memories or connections or favorite songs from her solo career following?
Well, first of all, I did not even know that she was in Five Dolls.
Yeah, she's been around for a while.
So yeah, that's a surprise to me. Because when I knew Five Dolls, it was 5 members. And
The five members, yeah.
And the one that I knew was Ho Chan-mi.
Yes, of course.
Who would eventually go on to the Produce series. But yeah, Shannon, I did not know Shannon until she debuted. And I always just knew her for being a contestant in K-pop Star. I did not know that she was in Five Dolls.
Yeah, very short-lived, like I said.
But when she debuted solo, for some reason, it was like in my algorithm or something, or people were talking about it. Maybe it was like news at the time. I just remember watching the music video and really liking the song.
Okay.
So I would recommend checking out the song. Her debut song was called Daybreak Rain, which is included in this mini album. But the title track off of this mini album was called Why. And I remember liking this mini album.
Okay.
I didn't do the research and listen to it again, but I just wanted to talk about Shannon because I thought at the time it was kind of a big deal because she was British.
Okay.
So it was kind of big. I think she actually went on to stream on Twitch. Have you ever watched her Twitch stream?
I have not, but
I remember there were some viral memes out of her Twitch stream. I never watched it personally, but I did watch those memes, but I can't really remember them at this moment. I think she's been streaming for a while. I don't know if she still streams, but yeah, that's pretty much what I know about Shannon now.
Yeah. I'm not much of a Twitch viewer overall, so that's probably why. But just like all the other previous episodes where you recommend a song, I'm going to listen to it, and then we can add it to the playlist that we're building over the episodes.
Right. So Shannon never really became huge in the K-pop scene, I would say. And, she was under MBK Entertainment, I think, which was obviously not a great label.
Yeah.
They had the likes of Tiara, Co-ed School, and then Daya, who, let's not talk about that.
Oh, man.
So, but I do think Shannon is worth bringing up because I think she is an important part in the history of K-pop, regardless of how small or how large it may be.
Absolutely. I'm glad I was able to throw that co-ed school fact in there too.
Yeah, learn something new. So 10 years ago today, on March 6th, 2015, Shannon would release her first mini album titled 18. All right, so that's it for this week's 10 years ago today segment. 10 years ago today, U-Kiss would have their first win since their debut with a song called Playground. Fiestar would return with their single titled You're Pitiful, and Shannon would release her first mini album 10 years ago today. Justin, today we reviewed the new GDragon album, Übermensch. How would you rate the album?
I love rating things like this just as much as I love ranking anything, or when you ask, just pick 3 songs or anything like that. But I will say I'm going to cop out a little bit because I feel like I just haven't had that much time with it yet. You listen to it through once, and even just a small microcosm example of that, just the Too Bad example, right? That first is, it's whatever, and then it grows on you. And I feel like some of these other songs on the album will be the same. Although Power, Home Sweet Home, Too Bad, Drama, I Belong to You, Take Me. See, already when I'm listing it out, my perception of the album just is a lot better than I thought it was. I don't rank it above any of his other albums, but to put in perspective, I've lived with those albums for so long. I've listened to them so many times. I've listened to the live albums just to have something different, right? So that's just kind of my initial thoughts. I know you could probably give a more proper rating. How would you rate it?
Well, I've only spent a few days listening to it.
Yeah.
For an album like this, I feel time will tell and the rating may change. But my initial feeling is a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I would rate it a perfect album. I'm not really sure I would rate any album a perfect album.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a 4 or 4.5. As far as my feelings for the album, I really enjoy it. Glad to have GD back. Hoping for Big Bang's return. But do you have any other overall feelings or thoughts about the album?
I have a strong feeling that it's going to be one of, if not my most listened to albums of this year. That's how much I like it already. And I feel like my appreciation for it can only go up from here.
I'm looking forward to seeing your Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year.
Oh, no.
Are you going to see him on tour?
Ellis, the question is not, are you going to see him on tour? The question is, how many times will I be able to see him on tour? And I'll give you one, I'll do you one better. Not only am I going to try to see him on tour, I'm 100% seeing him at Head in the Clouds. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that. I'll tell you about what songs he performed, which ones I cried during, and then how my perception of the album has changed because of that performance.
So that one's already locked in.
It's locked in.
All right. Well, thanks again, Justin, for your time today. Do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
You know, I'm always talking about Big Bang, GD in our previous episodes, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, but I somehow, some way always manage to sneak in an example or two in there. But this time you gave me full reign, full freedom to talk about GD and Big Bang as much as I wanted. So absolutely enjoyed this one. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. If not the week of the release of GDragon's newest album, when else are we going to talk about it?
I can do it in every other episode.
That's all for today, Friday, March 7th, 2025. This has been Diaries of an MZ Generation, hosted by Ellis Tan and Justin Lee. This is a production of Selective Hearing and is a part of the Selective Hearing network of podcasts. Edited by Ellis Tan and Greg Abesamis. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.